Learn all about living in Mexico from Victoria Ryan, who lives in Patzcuaro, Michoacan, in this interview with Expats in Mexico. What brought you to Patzcuaro in the first place?
I was in San Miguel de Allende and I was taking a Spanish class and I was studying watercolors. And someone said, "Oh, let's go to Patzcuaro for the weekend." And I thought that was a great idea. Never even heard of it. And it was just like one of those things where I got out of the car and I went, it was like I was bewitched. I mean, I really fell in love with it.
Explain where Patzcuaro is located.
It is about halfway between Mexico City and Guadalajara on that line. And I'd say we're 4 hours from Guadalajara, 5 hours from Mexico City. It's high in the mountains. It's a colonial city founded in like the 1500s, late 1500s. And it is high in the mountains. The altitude is as high as Santa Fe. It's about 7,200 feet. The climate is chilly most of the year. Pine trees. It looks a little bit like the Sierra Nevada or Oregon. There's a couple of lakes. The warmest month is May, and the rest of the time it's kind of like eternal fall. I love the climate here, but I think a lot of people don't know about the colonial cities and don't know how beautiful the mountains of Mexico actually are.
So when you say the perpetual fall weather, is it like in the 70s for highs and maybe like the 50s for lows, pretty much year round?
A little bit. I mean, that's fairly close. Because of the altitude, there's a big swing from day to night. So yeah, 70s to 50s, 80s to 60s, that kind of stuff. The winter, the leaves fall off the trees for about a month, and the nights drop to 40s. And we even last year got snow for the first time, practically in recorded history. And the daytime is usually about 20 degrees. The winter is mostly blue skies, mostly sunny days. The summer is the rainy season, and the temperatures are sort of similar, except for it rains every single day for about 2 hours. So the winter, the countryside is sort of brown, and in the summer, it's really lush. And at the end of the summer, in the fall, it's like spring in most places, in that the flowers bloom, they're cosmos that bloom that are wild, and I'm not very good at the name, but there's some sunflowers and some other really beautiful orange flowers that bloom all over the countryside for about a month.
What's life like living there, like a day to day? What is there a big expat community there, or?
Yeah, when I first got here, there was about four of us English-speaking people, and it was very arty. It reminded me of Santa Fe, probably what Santa Fe was like in the 40s. Then over the last 20 years or so, there have arrived maybe 300 to 400 expats in the area surrounding the lake. So in Patzcuaro itself, I'm not really sure because I work full time. I have a hotel, and administering the hotel, doing the marketing and doing all that stuff is pretty much of a full-time job. I know the expats have a lot of activities that they do. I don't participate as much because I'm still working, and all of them are retired. So what they do is the men have a breakfast every Tuesday, pretty well attended. They have a Saturday walk. They all go hiking in the mountains. And there are concerts and all kinds of cultural events in Morelia, which is 40 minutes away. And then here, a lot of the expats are fascinated by the indigenous, and so they'll go out to the fiestas and the fairs and sort of participate and observe.
Do you and most of the expats who live there speak Spanish?
Most of them don't. I do. I think there's, maybe a percentage, 5% or 10%, that speak Spanish. It's easier to learn Spanish here because it's not like in San Miguel de Allende. It's hard to speak Spanish. I find when I go visiting up there that if I am speaking Spanish, people usually respond to me in English, the Mexicans. And here, if you want to survive, if you just want to go to the grocery store or to the market, you have got to learn how to get prices and negotiate that whole survival thing. So if I was to give a message of something that's important to me, I would say that adapting to the culture and learning about the culture and coming to love the culture is something that I have really enjoyed and that I would really encourage other gringos to do.
Did you know Spanish before you moved to Mexico full time?
No, not really. I grew up in New Mexico and I had a little bit of Spanish under my belt, but it's been a fly by the seat of my pants. One of the things, and I take lessons whenever I can, and it's a little poco a poco process. And I think that it is one of the important things for me was to not worry about how I sounded. My grammar's still pretty mediocre, but I just talk. You get along.
And did you start with a tutor, or did you have classes that you went to with a local Spanish school?
I think I've done it all. I had a tutor for a while. There was a guy here who used to come to your house. I just heard yesterday somebody was saying how much they like Duolingo, which I'm thinking of signing up for. I would listen to Mexican music, especially ballads, things that I could understand. I would watch TV with subtitles. I mean, I just did everything you could. And then there's a school here. I would take classes from time to time.
So immersion in the Spanish culture and language is very important to really learning the language.
I think it helps a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how do the other expats, if they don't speak that much Spanish, get by since it's really not a tourist magnet and there aren't a lot of English-speaking Mexicans who live in that area?
Mhm. I think that a lot of them do go to the Spanish school off and on. And I think a lot of them do what I do. And then what helps a lot now is Google Translate.
Hmm.
So I notice a lot of people use their phones. They can get translations on their phones pretty quickly if you get stuck for a word or whatever.
Hmm.
I mean, it's really, like you said, immersion.
Hmm.
So again, you learn little by little. You start out
Hmm.
ending restaurants and the
Hmm.
market, and then you expand with a few verbs.
Hmm. Tell us a little bit about your business. You had mentioned that you owned and ran is it a B&B or a hotel? Or what is it?
It's a hotel. It's a B&B style hotel.
Is it an old home?
It was built, I love saying this. This building is an old colonial building that was built on the orchard of the Sisters of Catherine of Siena, who still have a school and a convent 3 or 4 doors down. It was built in 1784.
What's the name
and
of your hotel?
It's called Hotel Casa Encantada. People love it, and I love decorating, and I love the people that come, and I have a great staff. I have 7 people working for me who take care of every detail, and it makes life easy for me.
How far is Patzcuaro from the coast?
From the coast, it's about 2.5 hours, and from Zihuatanejo, it's about 3 hours.
And are the roads to the coast pretty good roads? Were the 2-lane, 4-lane, or?
Yeah, no, the roads are amazing. The roads are phenomenal, and I think a good vacation, to just give a little plug, would be to fly into the coast, spend some time on the beach, come here, and then fly out of Morelia. So you can really pack in a lot of exciting things to do. And Patzcuaro is amazing. I could keep people busy for 2 weeks without even breaking a sweat. There's so much to do here.
Like what?
There are seasonal things to do. Day of the Dead is one of the really popular things. So I'm actually booked for next year with a waiting list. Day of the Dead is November 1st. And Easter, Semana Santa, Holy Week, is fabulous here.
Mhm.
There are processions, traditional events, almost too many for me to even describe. Christmas is wonderful here because it's a non-traditional kind of Christmas. Non-traditional meaning it's not what you're used to in the United States with the tree and Santa Claus and all that purchasing. Here, they still have the posadas. It is very much connected with the birth of Jesus.
Mhm.
And there's some very important indigenous events that go on around that. I was telling somebody the other day, February 2nd, there's a dance here in one of the pueblos that is spectacular. I think the rainy season here is very beautiful. All year round, there are places that you could go to see artisanos working in their studios. It's a lot like an undiscovered Oaxaca. Oaxaca, I think, is known for the weavers and the potters and all that stuff.
Are there any special things that Patzcuaro is known for?
Yeah, actually, Patzcuaro itself is known for lacquerware, painted generally on wooden plates, but also on copper, hand-painted lacquerware, looks like cloisonné sometimes. Then there's a village nearby called Santa Clara del Cobre, and it is fabulous for hand-pounded copperware. People are buying lots of sinks from them, but you can also buy pots, jewelry, all kinds of amazing and gorgeous art where they have their own festival. I think in August, it's about 10 days. There's another town that's known, Guanajo, it's known for its painted furniture. There's another town, Sinsunsan, that's known for its pottery. We have about 4 really famous potters from, internationally famous potters from Sinsunsan, both high-fired and low-fired. There are a couple of towns that the women weave hand-woven rebosos that are extraordinary. They're just like, the workmanship is so fine. You wouldn't have seen anything like it anywhere. A couple of the villages, Iwatsio, around the lake, are known for things that are made out of reeds from the lake, things that are woven, baskets, etc. And the town near here that's known for its mask makers. So, and that's just the things I can remember right at the moment.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. So if one is a shopper, the best time to come, I would say, is Easter week, because we have a big fair, and in the town nearby, Uruapan, they have an even bigger fair that is known. People come just for the shopping. And Uruapan is close by. It has this amazing park with waterfalls. There's a town nearby that has, the whole town was covered by a volcano in the 40s. Excuse me. There's another town not very far away where they make guitars and stringed instruments that are absolute world-class quality.
Well, Michoacan sounds like the land of artists.
It is. And then we have the butterflies. We have a lot of people who come to visit the butterflies in the winter. They're here from about the beginning of December until the end of February.
These are the monarch butterflies?
Monarch butterflies, yeah.
Yeah.
February is the best month to see them.
And actually, where you are in Patzcuaro, that's a resting place for the monarchs?
No, you would have to go about 2.5 hours from here. It's a nice long day trip.
Now, do you live in the hotel or do you have a separate home?
I live a block away.
And what is your home like?
I have, besides the hotel, I have 3 apartments, 1 block up, for people who want to stay a week to a month. So I live in one of the 3 apartments, and it's just a small apartment, but because I'm an artist, the light in my apartment is so much better than the light when I was living here in the hotel. So it's like, for me, it's like living in my studio. I have a little kitchenette, and then I have a big room that I paint and sculpt in, and then I have a little bedroom.
Are most of your friends, by the way, expats, or they're mainly Mexican, or is there a mix?
For me, it's a mix, but I think it takes a long time. I've been here, as I said, like 19 years, and I think it takes a long time to actually break through that cultural barrier and get Mexican people who you really consider friends. You need the desire to actually be uncomfortable enough to be in situations where you're not sure what's going on, what people are talking about, and eventually it happens. I do have Mexican friends. I love having a selection of friends of both.
Let me ask you a final question. What advice would you give to someone who's thinking about moving to Mexico and becoming an expat in Mexico?
One piece of advice I would give is rent and see if you like a place. Even though I'm impulsive and I'm likely to do something like, oh yeah, I've got to do this way, I have seen people buy and realize it's not the community that they thought it was, or it doesn't offer the things like Patzcuaro, for example. You sort of have to be independent. There are places like Chapala, Ajijic, and San Miguel de Allende where there are a lot of organized activities. There's lots of classes, there's lots of things to do. You have many, many choices of friends and activities. Patzcuaro, you kind of have to like Patzcuaro, and you kind of have to like creating your own activities. So I would say rent don't buy unless you are sure that that's what you want to do. And the other thing that I would really encourage people to do is to spend more time with their mouth closed and their eyes open, because I think the way to enjoy Mexico is, I'm sorry,
That's all
I have
right.
opinions. The way to enjoy Mexico is not to go, I wonder why they don't do this way, but is to sit around and observe the country that you may be adopting and learn why they do things the way they do. It's a different culture.
Wonderful advice. Thank you so much, Victoria. Really enjoyed the conversation today.
Thank you, Robert.
Have a great day.
You too.
Okay, bye now.
Bye-bye.